Okay, so it's a Wednesday, late morning. Just got done with batching all the stuff that I have that I do on Wednesdays. I do a lot of film editing for our athletes, and then I do whatever content creation that I need for online, typically on a Wednesday. I look at the different messages that I see coming back from our athletes, coaches, and parents consistently and see what the commonalities are, and then try to do myself a favor and them a favor by asking better questions to try and get to some resolution on some of those challenges. Anyways, I'm outside today and not doing Facebook Live because on Facebook Live, the purpose ends up being that we end up reaching out and connecting with people, and that's great, but it also means that it's a conversation, and unfortunately this is not as much of a rant but more as a statement and not a conversation. So the conversation ends up happening with the actions that our clients will take after they get the information and then decide to process it and do what they want. But before we get started, and I'm going to try and keep this less than 9-10 minutes, I wanted to read a couple of quotes that really served me today. One is from Andre Gide. The belief that becomes truth for me is that which allows me the best use of my strength, the best means of putting my virtues into action. Now, the reason why that's important for me is I see people all the time that listen and they do reading, and they're very intelligent people, and maybe sometimes a little sarcastic as well, but they overthink things sometimes. And getting good information is really helpful, but you need to take action on that good information. And if it's counterproductive, meaning if you have a belief and you've got the really solid legs underneath that belief and you've created a table of belief, then it's very easy to take those legs out with disempowering thoughts and questions that are not helpful. Make sure that you get good information and you take action on it, and then you can always come back and readjust as necessary. But it's important to not always second guess yourself. That's an issue, especially for people who are creative and or very intellectual. I stumbled upon this sheet that I had written on a long time ago, and I had just stayed at a Holiday Inn, so obviously it was a good thing. It was a question of what is our real purpose with our training? And I wrote down, trying to unlock the athlete's personal story and open up their true potential. We are there to help co-author or underwrite the book and do it in a way so that the book and the story of their life gets deeper and more rich with each page. And it's obviously a little bit high-minded, but that's really what we try to do, is to teach people to write a better story and to look for the opportunities to create a better story and to find the contributing factors or better experiences or deeper, richer environments, and or who are some of the supporting actors in your book, and and who could potentially be the villains. Not that you're necessarily looking to create somebody to oppose your force, but that necessarily you might have somebody you compete against, and it doesn't have to be in a bad way. It can be in a good way. It could be a sibling. It could be a teammate. It can be a very positive experience. It's all just the way that you choose to look at it. Then the next thing I have in here is your questions direct your focus. And the quote is, always the beautiful answer who asks a more beautiful question. E.E. Cummings. That's one of my all-time favorites, and we'll go with one more. Questions direct your mind and your focus. And I tell people all the time, you don't have to have the answers, you have to have questions. And if your question is very specific and very focused, then you will get great answers. Because of Google and all the information that's accessible to us, you will find the answers easily, but you need to understand how to ask questions. And so this day and age, it's more the person who has quality questions more so than it is the person who has answers, because the answers are available. It's very, very easy to get them, but you have to have good questions. If you don't know where to start with a question, start like Esther and Jerry Hicks say, start in the general. So meaning start very, very generalized, start non-specific, and eventually you scale things down to a greater specificity. And the more specific, the better you're going to get a quality answer that you can take action on. At first, you might not have very actionable information from that general question, but it'll lead to a better question. And so that's very important. Then the last thing I have here is, this is from Tony Robbins, but this quote is from Nathaniel Emmons. It's, habit is either the best of servants or the worst of masters. And honestly, I see a lot of people who have habits that really sabotage themselves and put them at a disadvantaged position of leverage from moment to moment, and they don't give themselves the full opportunity to really create sustainable momentum and or create a really genuine appreciation or joy for what they're doing in their daily life. And then they dread things that are opportunities, and they look at them like they're responsibilities, and they replace I have to with things that are even worse than that. And I have to, I don't even like. I'd rather say I get to, and you'll hear people say that all the time. Or they say, well, I didn't do this, instead of saying, well, I haven't done this yet. And that's a good one, the power of yet. A couple of other quotes before we get into some things, just to drop some things. Love a couple of the Gary Vee quotes. Authenticity rules, and this other one, complaining is a zero return investment. That's great. Complaining is only to identify a challenge, and then you do something with it. Anything past identifying the challenge is just a complaint. And if you complain about something, that's like something that you think that's out of your control. So like if I'm at a hotel and I have a complaint, I expect somebody else is going to do something about it. It's your life. You do something about it. Don't bother complaining, because you're complaining to yourself, which means once you've stated it, then your mind goes to work on solving it. So get on the action instead of on the complaint. The next one, and I love this, Tom Bilyeu from Impact Theory says, the level of effort you tolerate from yourself will define your life. Tom Bilyeu is a freak, and so is his wife. In a good way, they're unbelievable. I don't even know where they get their energy from, but their message is always helpful. Always helpful. 24/7. People got to get better at networking, at communicating who they are, what their story is, what their purpose is. This is really a problem for a lot of athletes, because you need to be able to communicate that to future coaches, future employers, future clients, future, you name it, and also current teammates, current employers, current coaches, because the story of who you are allows your coach and your teammates and those who want to seek you out to do stuff with you the ability to make good decisions based on good information that you put out. If you're not really communicating who you are efficiently, then you're taking away, you're stealing the opportunity for other people to work with you. Talking a little bit about tomorrow mindset versus now. I had a great conversation with a good friend earlier who's also a parent of a couple of our clients, and he was talking about, how parents often focus on yesterday because they're like, I wish this would have happened, and then they're like, well, this has to happen now so that tomorrow we have a new and rich opportunity to take advantage of. Whereas a lot of the kids, or some other parents as well, will often say, we'll do that tomorrow, we'll do that tomorrow, we'll do that tomorrow. It's like the dad who's going to build the tree fort. He'll do it tomorrow. We're going to do it this weekend. It's a promise on never. It's not if you ever do it, it's that you're never going to do it. Okay? Now is the time. So if you're going to build the tree fort now, that's fine. If you're not going to build it tomorrow, just say, we'll do it like David Allen says, someday, maybe. But that maybe, who knows if that maybe is going to ever happen. So that's a someday maybe. And that's not a great way to live life. Next thing, I think, so while we're talking about David Allen, time and space. We're talking about time and space. One of the quotes that stands in my head, and I don't know who said it, but it's do what you can do with what you have where you are. And that's David Allen's concept of getting things done. It's the here and now. It's the time and the space, organization and execution that is huge. And if you haven't heard David Allen in person or heard him online or one of his TED Talks or something, you just have to. If you want to execute and be successful, David Allen is a must. He's an absolute must. So I'm going to end that there, and we'll go into the next one.